What's up? It's time to finally talk about Midnight Resto Shaman. So I was gonna wait until I actually had the alpha to play with it a little bit to make this video, but we're in week 2 of the alpha. We just got our Apex talents revealed, and a lot of people have quickly figured out that Resto Shaman might be one of those specs that feels a little barren. Probably got a little bit over pruned compared to everyone else. So I wanted to make a video talking about it. First of all, I want to apologize for probably being a little bit too far into the doomer side of things right now. It is the week 2 of the alpha, and things definitely can change. But I made my Resto Shaman back in Legion 10 years ago, basically. And the reason I made a Resto Shaman is because of this really cool ability called Cloudburst Totem. It was by far my favorite spell in the game, and no matter how challenging or easy the current fights were, or no matter how fun the rest of Resto Shaman was in a given season, I could always kind of lean into Cloudburst Totem to spice up my gameplay a little bit and like basically flex my muscles. Like, hey, I'm a really good Resto Shaman. I've mastered this spec. This is what I can do. So it's going away in Midnight, and that was definitely like a sore spot for me. After losing a bunch of my other favorite spells over the years, like Primordial Wave, Wellspring, basically, Ancestral Guidance, etc. So, and I know all of those are contentious buttons in their own way, but playing Resto Shaman has always been about like maintaining the very basic core gameplay loop of pressing Riptide, Healing Rain, and your totems. And then for me, the thing that really made it great was indexing into some of these supportive spells like Primordial Wave, Cloudburst Totem, Wellspring. Um, and now that all those are gone, we're kind of left with, well, like nothing. So, a super quick TLDR for people that don't want to watch the entire video. Resto Shaman has basically been cut down to its very core gameplay, which is keeping Riptide on cooldown, keeping Healing Rain on cooldown, and keeping Healing Stream Totem on cooldown. And that's it. Unfortunately, all of those spells do. It's just passive healing, right? You are not actually pressing a button to watch someone's health bar fill up. But most of our healing is now indexed into these 3 buttons rather than things like Healing Wave or Chain Heal. And that's why I think the spec just feels so bland right now. So I'm going to go through all the changes really quick. And talk about what has changed, the impacts of it a little bit, and then I want to talk about how the spec plays in Midnight. Oh, and also the new Apex talent that we got yesterday. I'll talk about that too. And then finally, I want to talk about a couple of different directions they might be able to take the spec to bring a little bit of something back to change up your gameplay. So anyway, it's going to be a long video. Apologies, but I'll start with the class tree. So the big losses for the class tree: Totemic Recall is gone. We mostly use this on Healing Stream Totem or Cloudburst Totem, but in some occasions you would use it on like a Windrush Totem to reset Windrush for your team if you were lacking movement speeds, or you could use it on Poison Cleansing Totem on some certain affixes or dungeons and stuff. But it's gone now. Even if they just brought it back for utility only, I think it'd be kind of cool. But yeah, right now it's just gone. Thunderstorm is only elemental. This fits their philosophy of kind of reducing the amount of AoE stops that everyone has. So yes, it sucks that we lose that. But Resto Shaman had a ton of utility and stops and stuff for Mythic Plus, so I don't think it's the end of the world. And keeping this really thematic spell to elemental, it makes sense. And the last major one, I think, is we lost Stone Bulwark Totem. So basically every spec in the game lost a defensive in some way. Some lost multiple defensives. We basically had Astral Shift, Stone Bulwark Totem, and Earth Elemental. And we kept Astral Shift and Earth Elemental. To me, it would make more sense to lean into Stone Bulwark Totem instead of Earth Elemental. I think everyone that has ever played Shaman has pressed Earth Ellie and watched him explode in 3 seconds, and then you lost your defensive. So I don't know if they can just make the defensive part always apply for the full duration. It is a 3-minute cooldown now instead of a 5-minute cooldown, but right now it feels a little weird to have Earth Ellie as our second defensive rather than Stone Bulwark. But I'm willing to hear them out and like play with it to see if it works. But yeah, that's basically the class tree. There's a couple of nodes that haven't been unveiled yet that don't look like they're in super important spots, so they're probably just passives or something. But yeah, we'll see later on. And then the big ones were in the spec tree. I'm gonna go through the pruned stuff first. Most of the stuff that replaced the pruned nodes are all passives, so I'll quickly cover those, but I'm not gonna read every single line. Ankh Totem is gone. So long. That was a cool niche thing that you could use. Not really used in Mythic Plus that often, but especially in Raid, you could use that, and it saved countless progression hours being able to use that. So that sucks. Cloudburst Totem. I don't have to say much here. My favorite spell in the game, so it sucks to see it go. I understand that this doesn't really fit their goal for the complexity reduction and stuff that they're going for, and they stated that you need a weak aura for it. I don't agree. I think just pressing your Cloudburst Totem and knowing that I'm healing during it is fine, but I can see how from someone that has just picked up healing for the first time that this might be a little bit too much. So really sucks to see it go. Not only just for the fun, but also this was like our primary way to do burst healing outside of cooldowns. So to lose that as well, it does suck. Earthen Wall, mostly a loss for PvP. Healing Surge, they stated that they want to just make... They're going to try and just make Healing Wave our one, single target heal. I think that's fine. Right now, Healing Wave and Chain Heal got cast time reductions from 2.5 seconds to 2 seconds. 2 seconds is still pretty long. So either Healing Wave needs to do a ton of healing, or I think they need to add in some way to speed up or just reduce the cast time of Healing Wave a little bit. Willing to play with this before I give some more feedback on it, but I think cast time or amount of healing is probably what they'll have to be careful with here. High Tide is gone, and alongside it, we lose Tidebringer. So these are two massive buffs to Chain Heal. Their goal is to kind of take the power out of the buffs and put it back into the base casting of Chain Heal. This is a good thing, in theory. The problem is not so much with High Tide. High Tide basically just said, I have a buff, press me. And we don't have that now, so you're kind of left with a pretty boring gameplay loop. But the main loss here, I think, is Tidebringer, actually. So Tidebringer increased the jump range massively. So now you're going to have to do the thing. I think they increased it slightly last build to like 20 yards, but you're going to have to be a little bit more careful who you press Chain Heal on and kind of use yourself as a proxy for like jumping between the melee and the range groups. But the cast speed, like I said, with Healing Wave, we lost the Tidebringer cast speed, so Chain Heal's 2 seconds now. That's a really long time to be casting a heal. So that's something that is going to have to coincide with their reduction in fight complexity. If you have to heal, or if you have to move very much, it's going to feel really bad casting 2 second heals. So that's something I think they're going to have to take a look at. Tide Turner, whatever. Unleash Life and Undulation, huge loss for Farseer. Now you summon Ancestors when you press Healing Stream Totem instead of these, but these, again, they influenced your gameplay a little bit. They required you press this button every so often to kind of get you out of the core gameplay loop, but also was a way to summon Ancestors on a shorter cooldown. So now we summon less Ancestors per minute and also on a longer cooldown. So you're no longer going to have a permanent Ancestor if you were to play Farseer. And then finally, Wellspring. Again, this is like one of those supporting spells that I said that you press it every so often, but it's a different spell other than your core gameplay loop. And then really quick, before I talk about how the spec will play, yesterday we got the Apex talent, so Storm Stream Totem. Riptide has a 10% chance to upgrade your next healing stream to Storm Stream Totem, which heals for 30% more, heals one additional ally at 100% effectiveness, and heals 2 injured allies immediately when used. And then the upgrades are increases the healing by Healing Stream and Storm Stream, and then it's usable again for free. So until you take this final talent, it just consumes a charge of Healing Stream Totem. It's just a much stronger version of it. So you probably would always take this. The 10% chance is pretty low. You're at like 11 casts per minute right now of Riptide. So you're not even expecting 1 proc per minute of this Apex talent, with no real way to increase that at all. And it's, again, more passive healing. So not the most interesting gameplay. And really quick, I guess, the stuff that they added in. So more buffs to Healing Rain, Healing Wave. They reduced the cost of Chain Heal in a talent. Downpour, you can increase the healing of Downpour and also make it so you get an additional use of Downpour. And then a lot of Healing Stream Totem buffs. So basically, they took all the power out of Chain Heal buffs. They put a little bit back into the base casting and Chain Heal. And instead, they put all the power back into Healing Rain and Healing Stream Totem. So we've gone from I'm pressing buttons to fill up health bars to I'm pressing Healing Rain and Healing Stream Totem, and then going and making a sandwich while the health bars slowly get filled up. So how does it, like, what does Restoration Shaman look like to play? I made a timeline really quick. I'll open it real quick. So this is what it looks like. Basically, you're pressing Healing Stream Totem on cooldown. You keep Riptide on cooldown, and then you would press Healing Rain or Surging Totem. And all of the healing waves that you see, those are just filler. These are also faster. I had to make this on live, but that's it. You're just pressing these 3 buttons over and over and over and over again. And that's it. And you might be thinking, well, I already do that. Yes, you do. This is the core gameplay loop that Shaman has had for years and years and years. And the thing that I think makes me like Shaman is maintaining this core gameplay loop while also pressing spells like Wellspring or Unleash Life or Primordial Wave or Cloudburst Totem, and kind of indexing into these supportive spells that coincide with the core gameplay loop of Shaman. Now we have no buffs or procs to track. We have none of these supportive spells at all. And so we are left with a very, very basic gameplay loop. And that's how Shaman plays in Midnight right now. So that's why a lot of people are like, what do we do exactly? Like, what are we pressing? And especially when they add in the Apex talent, which is, again, more Healing Stream Totem healing. I don't see how you're expected to get super excited about this spec. Additionally, with the loss of buttons like Unleash Life and Undulation, and then also buffing Healing Stream Totem, what's the reason to play Farseer ever? Why would you not just always play Totemic if you're buffing Healing Rain and Healing Stream Totem, which again get buffed massively by the Totemic talent tree? So, the spec just kind of seems like it's in a weird spot right now. A couple of suggestions I could make. Number one, they could add in like some sort of support spell that coincides with this core gameplay loop, right? So adding in Primordial Wave or something. Again, I know not every spell is going to be liked by everyone. A lot of people hated Cloudburst Totem. I loved it. A lot of people hated Primordial Wave. I loved it. But just something else to break up the monotony of just pressing these 3 spells over and over and over again. Or a reason to press Healing Wave or Chain Heal. Another thing that I thought of, we used to have this talent called Crashing Waves. So way back in Legion, tidal waves were much stronger than they are now. But when you pressed Riptide, you only got 1 charge of tidal waves instead of 2. And basically that meant that each application of tidal waves was a lot more powerful, and it felt a lot better to use it. So they could lean into that maybe, to where you don't really want to waste tidal waves as much anymore, and then add in something like Crashing Waves. This just made it so you would gain 2 stacks of tidal waves each time, which would mean you would want to weave in some like healing waves or chain heals in between your Riptide cast or something. Uh, I think it would probably work pretty well on a choice node against Echo of the Elements, maybe. But again, that's one thing that they could do. The problem with this idea is it seems like they don't really want buff tracking to be part of your core gameplay loop, and tracking tidal waves is obviously buff tracking. So that was just one idea that I had. Um, there's not much else that I think they can do unless they just add in other spells and stuff or other procs. I like the gameplay loop is very simple. So interested to hear where they go from here. Like I said, it's pretty basic, but it is week 2 of the alpha, so we do have time to hopefully give feedback and say like, hey, these are some areas that I would like to see you guys explore. And then if they try something and it doesn't work, okay, well maybe we can go a different direction instead. I think that's the really the only benefit of being kind of cut back to our core gameplay loop is there's plenty of different ways to build a building from here. So we'll see where they go. I will probably give an update later on. It's not going to be like a weekly thing or anything like that, but whenever they finally do have a little bit more direction, I'll probably make a video updating kind of what the spec looks like in Midnight and stuff. But yeah, that's it. '07, the Cloudburst Enjoyers. It's been real. I'll miss it deeply. So, peace.